this is going to sound weird, but it's my friend. I mean, you know, it's part of me. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's going to be here for the rest of my life till my last day. So instead of me trying to fight it every step along the way, I need to embrace it and recognize what parts of it help me to deal with other things in life.
Hey, Hill Squad, welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Montel Williams. Of course, if you missed part 1, be sure to check it out because he had some interesting ideas around vaccinations. We talked all about the controversies around them, but he had some interesting approaches to it that I think you guys will really, really love. Of course, his time-tested approach to managing his MS. Today, we're diving straight into why he thinks cannabis is the future of healthcare and how not to get high, because I am terrified of getting high, because that accidentally happened, as you heard at the end of the last episode, and why he sees his diagnosis as a blessing. You definitely are going to want to hear that. Plus, does he still talk to Oprah, who his biggest competition was in the talk show world as well? And yeah, you'll have to listen to find out about Oprah. Enjoy. We are back, friends, with Montel Williams for part 2 of our discussion. So excited for you guys to hear more from Montel. I know I learned so much in the first episode. In this episode, I want to know more, Montel. I want to know, how do we do this cannabis thing to reduce the inflammation, get all the amazing properties that these different cannabinoids can give us without being high?
Okay, there's a couple things. One thing, first off, you can get isolates of all of the minor cannabinoids. They are available in different places. So you can get a CBD isolated just with CBD, no with THC. And when that happened to you, and I throw this out to a lot of people out there who are going to try to go down this path.
My high moment, my accidental
Yeah,
high moment.
Yes, you were talking about a high moment. CBD will help to reduce that euphoria if you just take CBD by itself. CBDA will even help a little bit more. But let's slow down and talk on this for a second. There is nothing wrong. They found out in Israel that THC, which does give you that euphoria, does have medical benefits itself.
I know, that's why I was giving my mom the 1-to-1 ratio.
Correct.
But at some point, and you keep elevating it slowly and slowly and slowly. This is what I did. It was the Rick Simpson concoction.
Sure, Rick Simpson oil, yeah.
And my dad called me one day. He goes, Maria, something wrong with mommy. She can't move. She can't. My mom was so high. He didn't understand what it was. He's
Sure.
like, she can't get out of the bed. And I was like, oh shit. I went too high with the dosage.
Right. Well, she can then add, if you have some CBD around, you can use straight up CBD. And the thing that's so good about this Justiva product that I told you about the last time we talked, it comes in a powder form that you can put in a liquid in a drink. You can shake it up real quick, put it in, and it will help over about 5 or 10 minute period of time to bring that euphoria down. But now let's talk about, and please, I'm only saying this to let you understand. Do you drink wine?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're getting a euphoria.
Yes.
You drink beer, you're getting a euphoria.
But here's the thing. I think when I was in that movie theater, I kept telling my husband that person over there wanted to rape me, and there was no person over there where I was pointing. I have very, very strange things in my mind and paranoias that wine does not do.
Okay, but now let me tell you this. I don't know if you know this about what happens in human beings. We have something called our endocannabinoid system. And if anybody's ever talked to you about this before, we have these things that are called CB1 and CB2 connectors. Those connectors are receptors in our brain. The CB1's in our brain, CB2 are in our peripheral organs. As a mammal, and all mammals have this, dolphins have this. We were born being able to antagonize THC and the products that come out of the cannabis plant. This is part of what we were built to do. Sometimes when you have a first experience, especially if that experience gives you a little bit of an overload of THC, people will have the kind of experience that you had, where it's just blast that endocannabinoid system to the point that you just can't figure out what's going on. It's okay. I would suggest to you, what you need to do is take a little journey down the road of THC in very, very, very small amounts, microdosed, small amounts, so that you start to let that endocannabinoid system recognize that this is okay. And what I mean by small amounts, I'm talking about less than 2.5 milligrams. If you can get something that's a 1 milligram, and you can find it because there's powdered versions of cannabis out there now where you can get your THC in a powder that will give you a little scoop that'll say this is 5 milligrams. We'll use a fifth of that scoop to get 1 milligram. Take a little bit. Let your endocannabinoid system absorb that. The 1 milligram may not even give you a euphoria. It may give you this tickle, like something going on, but I don't know what it is, but it's okay. I'm not freaking out. I'm not going to punch this guy out. I'm not going to drive my car over a bridge. Let your body acclimate to having received it. There's probably, I'm telling you, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's probably 15% of people in this country, in the world, that will respond to cannabis the same way you did. That first hit of it will completely knock you to your knees, and you'll say, I don't want to ever do this again because it's so scary. Okay, got it. However, people who have an illness that need to figure out how to use the entire plant
Spectrum, yeah.
You need to go ahead and start with a smaller amount of THC. See if you can find something that's really high in CBD, high in CBG. I had some formulations that were out in Massachusetts that I literally was finding CBG isolate. I was finding CBN isolates so that I could increase the amount of the other minor cannabinoids and basically overbear the THC. So I didn't get as big a euphoria. I hardly would get any euphoria whatsoever, just a slight bit, but I was getting the benefits of the other minor cannabinoids. And you can do that. If you live in a state, and I know your podcast is being viewed by people all over the country, we have 38 states in the District of Columbia right now that have some sort of cannabis law, whether it be medical or recreational. You can find products that are very, very low in THC and higher in all the other minor cannabinoids. And that's what you want to start to do. The other minor cannabinoids are the ones that are going to affect you in, I say, more medicinal ways than just the THC will. So if you can find that, I look for it. And again, I'd start California with Justiva, one of my favorite products on the planet, because there's no euphoria, zero
Yeah, that's what I
euphoria.
want. I want the benefits of it without, I don't like being out of control.
Got it.
So how has all of the things that you've done, and I'm sure you've done so many other things, how has it helped you? Like when you think of your journey through MS, how would you categorize it? You were obviously in initial pain, but then you said things alleviated with the
Well, what it
strategies.
does is, there's another thing about cannabis. Cannabis, I don't believe, really is a pain reliever. I believe it's a pain distractor. What it does is the receptors in your brain glom onto that THC, and though the pain is still there, I just go, whatever. You know what I mean? When I don't have it, I'm going on. Things hurt my feet. I'm constantly rubbing my legs, constantly rubbing my side. When I do have it, it's there, but whatever. I'm not going to deal with it. I'll deal with something else. I can laugh instead. So I think what THC and what cannabis does is it distracts us from the pain more so than it actually alleviates it or blocks it. So one of the things that I've literally tried my best to do, though I'm in pain right now. If I spend the time here sitting there thinking about it, it might make me start crying. However, as I had some cannabis last night, I had a little bit more this morning. And we've had a functional conversation. I'm not goofed off and I'm not jacked
Yeah.
up. I'm literally dealing with making sure that I feel okay. Homeostasis. Look up what we really truly believe cannabinoids do and cannabis does is it puts our cells in a homeostatic position. It helps the cells realize what is necessary inside there and what's not necessary and tries to get that stuff out. But how has my journey been? Instead of focusing on my MS on a every second of the day like I was when I was first diagnosed, before I literally found a regimen that worked for me, I can now thrive and deal with it. I deal with it. I in some ways look at it, and this is going to sound weird, but it's my friend. I mean, it's part of me. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's going to be here for the rest of my life till my last day. So instead of me trying to fight it every step along the way, I need to embrace it and recognize what parts of it help me to deal with other things in life. It's made me more empathetic. It's made me more emotional. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I suffer from something called emotional lability because I have scars in my brain in the area of the brain that help me control my emotions, highs and lows. Knowing that, I kind of keep myself in check because I can burst out bad at you real quick. Knowing that that's going to happen, I check myself. I check myself before I respond to things in a negative way. I check myself before I respond to things in such a happy way. You know, I could be standing outside and see a car hit another car, and I might start laughing. That's not appropriate, dude. Don't be laughing at a person in a car accident. Check yourself. So I'm constantly, there's a little meter in the back of my brain going, check yourself. That's what MS has given me. But that also, when I say check myself, that also means check my environment, check what's going on, check what's happening. So I'm constantly evaluating everything that's happening in my world. In some ways, that makes me more empathetic because I may look at another person who just yelled at somebody standing in a line at a grocery store and realize that, okay, this person's got a problem. You know what I mean? They got an issue. That's not me. That's not the lady behind the counter. That's them. You know, keep an eye on them. Don't let them do something to hurt somebody else, but keep an eye on them. It's made me more focused on paying attention to the little things that I would have ignored. Um, and at the same time, it's made me more understanding of people and recognizing that you look at me, you can't see MS.
Never,
I'm told
no.
that all the time. I'm told that all the time. You look at me, you can't see a person who just had a stroke, 6 years ago, now 5 years ago. And, you know, it's made me understand that how dare I look at someone and not understand how much may be going on underneath of them and their facade that I don't see. So therefore, I don't have a right to judge.
Mm, agreed. I feel the same way. Sometimes I'll look at people and be like, oh, they can eat sugar, they can do all these things. And I'm like, that's what you think. What if they have diabetes and they're doing it anyway?
Right, right,
Right.
right, right.
So, I go into the doctor and the nurse who like will check my record will look at me. They look at the screen, they look at me and they're like, I think we have a mistake. I go, no, 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 that's me.
Yeah,
That
right,
laundry list that you would never expect is me. And I think that, what you're talking about, I completely agree with. I feel like I am more empathetic. I feel like I have more, understanding of what could be going on. I always tell my husband, like, we don't know their story. Anytime my husband will get mad at whatever's going on, I'm like, we don't know their story.
right, right.
And everyone has one, whether we think it or not. No one has the white picket fence perfect life. They've either
Correct.
got a relationship issue with a family member that's really broken their heart, or whatever it is. It could be pain of the heart. It could be pain of a disease. It could be anything, unfulfillment, so many things. Everyone's got something. But what I think my greatest gift from all of this was just the pivot into true calling. I think it was the pivots into really like diving into my greater gifts, I think, because I am ever the investigator. I'm going to hunt answers down. I'm going to keep trying to connect dots. I find it so much fun to connect all the dots. I'm constantly thinking like, oh wait, no, this could be this could be this could be that. Oh, maybe
Right.
this is connected. Like I just love it. And so there are things that come of it. And I do think that one of the things that we have to also realize is that even though I'm constantly focused on like full and complete healing, sometimes it really is just getting through every day and
Correct.
living your best life that day you can.
Yes.
And not like sometimes I was feeling like a failure that I hadn't healed things completely yet because I'm doing so much to heal. And that's just not always how it's going to be.
And but you need to give yourself a little bit of a break. And I
Hmm.
mean, we both know that. I mean, it's as much as you and I are probably those kind of people who are most critical of what we do, and we are so critical of ourselves that sometimes we spend a little bit too much time looking at the things that we think we did wrong. But what we really ought to do is pay attention to the things that we've done right. I mean, I think one of the things that for your viewers, it's a little axiom that I live by every day, and that is, before I go to sleep at night, I like to think to myself, what did I do today that's worth talking about tomorrow? Whether it be for myself, whether it be for other people or anything. And I write down a couple of things that I did so that I can look at them in the morning. And when I look at them in the morning, I get to at least start my day off with a success rather than an oh, woe is me. Because I can wake
Mm.
up in the morning and say, I did this yesterday. What am I going to do today that's worth talking about tomorrow? And seek out doing things that I think are worth talking about. They only maybe only worth talking about to me, but they're worth talking about. And I will do that. And I think that helps to cut you a little bit of a break because you don't know. I mean, just walking, you, Maria Menounos, walking into a grocery store and saying hi to a checker, you don't know what that did for their day. The fact that you
Hmm.
looked at their name tag and said, Beth, thank you so much. What? Are you kidding me? You just lit somebody's world on fire just by the fact that because they're gonna go home and say, I was in the grocery store and Maria Menounos came in and she said my name. Really? Wow. That's the reaction that you can have on people. That's the reaction I
Yeah.
know that I have on people sometimes. And I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I am grateful. I am also understanding of my responsibility for what I've been given.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about some of the other celebrities in the MS Club in just a second. But first, friends, the holidays are right around the corner. Let's be honest, no one wants to be in panic mode come December 24th. So why not get your Christmas shopping done now? Plus, treat yourself while you're at it because you deserve it. Macy's has you covered with incredible finds in cashmere, coats, jewelry, watches, shoes, boots, bed and bath, anything for anyone on your list. And like I said, a little something for you too. And the best part is you can get free shipping on orders over $25 from December 16th to the 19th. Take advantage of Macy's unbeatable deals. I put all of my go-to gift ideas on my wish list. That's linked in the podcast description below. Shop online at Macy's.com or visit your local Macy's. Don't wait, guys. Start checking off that list today so you can enjoy your holiday. And of course, let's face it, your hair deserves the best. And with Way, it's never been easier to give the gift everyone needs, whether you're managing dry ends, frizz, or just looking for some serious shine. Montel, maybe you could use it on your eyebrows.
Oh,
Uh,
my goatee, my goatee.
your goatee. Way has the perfect products to take your hair game to the next level. I am all about keeping things simple, and Way has made it exactly that. It's an easy to use hair care line, and one of my favorites is the Way hair oil. It's lightweight, but it's packed with hydration and shine. Perfect for a goatee. What? I mean, perfect for a no frizz, sleek look that lasts all day. Ready to make your hair feel great and you can feel confident and vibrant. Head over to theway.com. That's THEOUAI.com. Use the promo code Heal Squad. You'll get 15% off your first order. And friends, I think this is a really great Christmas gift idea for your friends as well. So treat yourself, treat your friends, and enjoy. Uh,
When you just talked about Christmas gift for yourself, and Christmas is right around the corner, folks. I'm hoping that people recognize this year more important than any year ever before this. This is not so much about what you get. This should be about what you give.
mm-hmm.
You got to remember we're coming out of a time period. I'm not. This is not politicizing anything. Just saying we're coming out of a time period where I think this nation has been at its greatest level of angst, greatest level of anxiety that we've seen in the last 270 plus years. It's time for us to now try to hit a reset button. We should use this time to try to figure out how we work on our own inner selves, to make ourselves happy, to make ourselves understand that we have control over us. We do. We have more control over our emotional state than we think we do. And let's utilize this holiday season to be as resetting as possible, and say, okay, I'm going to just start this year off and figure I'm going to go for the best I can rather than be as angry as I want to be.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Kevin and I always do a year-end meeting and we go over all of the wins in the year. You forget, and that's why I like to do it nightly. Like, think of all the good things that that took place that day and the things that I needed to work on, because you can take daily stock, because we normally will focus on the worst thing and forget that
Yep.
like huge amazing things happened that day.
Yep.
So I love a good year-end meeting that goes over the wins of the year, the lessons of the year, and then what I want to do in the new year.
Yep.
But there's a lot of celebrities that we know of that have MS, whether it's Christina Applegate, who was newly diagnosed, or Jamie Lynn Sigler, Selma, Blair. Have you connected with them?
All three of them we've spoken. All three of
Really?
them we've
Did
spoken.
they
Yes.
reach out to you, or did you reach out to them?
Both. Someone reached out to me. I think I reached out to Christina. Jamie Lynn reached out to me. One of the things about MS that's so crazy is that it truly is an insidious illness in the fact that every single one of us suffers differently. There's well over when I was diagnosed back in 2000, I got Zogby and Gallup to do polls, and back then, when the National MS Society was reporting numbers of 150,000 to 200,000, both polls came back that well over 1.5 million people in America alone were diagnosed. And we know that those numbers are probably twice that. Unfortunately, everyone does suffer differently. I recently reached out, and Selma and I have reconnected again, and we're getting ready to try to do some. I may end up doing Selma's podcast here soon. But each one of our journeys has been so different. Christina, I feel for her. I mean, unfortunately, we do know that MS is kind of like a bell curve. There are about 5 or 10% of the people who have MS who literally have one episode, one bout, and then they hardly ever have another one. That's called benign. And in the middle of that bell curve, there's this thing called remitting relapsing. And then on the other side, there is a portion of this illness that kind of literally goes to its darkest, deepest, most virulent form almost immediately. I think we four are somewhere on that spectrum of that curve. I've tried my best to reach out and give some insights. And, unfortunately, sometimes people who, if you say to somebody, well, if you do X, Y, Z for the next 3 months, you should see a difference. And if they don't see a difference in 3 months, they go, oh, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
You got to keep trying,
Yeah.
and then in some cases, maybe it didn't work for you and it wasn't meant to work for you. But I really do believe, one of the things that most people don't understand when it comes to any illness, you alone own the definition of who you are with that illness. Just because, again, doctors have said, here's where the median is, I'm not necessarily sure if they know that. There's a high and a low, and there's the in between. You have to figure out where you want to be on that spectrum, and then don't live down to someone else's expectation. Do everything you can to live up to your own. And so, I applaud those three young ladies, because they literally have shown strength and courage that so many others are so afraid to show themselves as vulnerable as they were in some stages of the illness. I think, I spoke to Selma recently, and she told me that she is doing much better. And I applaud that. You know what I mean? And because that child has put in the effort. Boy, I'm telling you. But I don't mean to say child, but it's something very interesting about Selma. I did a television, dramatic series back. Oh man, this was when my show first started. 92, 93. The series was called Matt Waters. As a matter of fact, and that series was on CBS. Um, I played a guy who was a retired member of the military who went back to his own hometown, and he teaches in his hometown high school. Selma Blair was one of the students in my class.
No way.
That was so funny. It was so crazy. We laughed about that all the time. But yeah, and I was like, were you? And I had to go find an old episode. He goes, yeah, she was. Yeah, Selma was in there. So yeah, we've kind of tried to stay in touch and work with each other.
Wow. Um, have you studied the equator and the healing benefits of the equator on MS?
You told me about this when we met, and I was trying to look up some information about it, trying to find something. Anything you want to send me, girlfriend, I'd love to be
Yeah,
able to read.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna put together a retreat in the DR, I think in February for a small group. And because I've just seen the benefits of it, and I've studied also the blue light effects on MS and Parkinson's and all the
Hmm.
neurological issues, which
Hmm.
is very, very interesting. And I think the sun could be a whole next level game changer for you.
I bet. I'm here in Miami, and I can tell you this. I try to every day go out and just stick my face in it. Just
Hmm.
and the sun's pretty intense here, so I try to get out and get my face in it. And since we spoke, I've been doing it even more.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm going
I
to
think,
send you some episodes with Dr. Allison, but then I'll send you Dr. Cruz, who's really been the outspoken one on all of this and done all the research. He's a neurosurgeon, and it's pretty fascinating. I think it'll be
wow,
really helpful for you.
wow. I'd
Yeah.
love to hear more about it for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. I can't let you go without asking you some fun talk show stuff, right? You had,
Sure.
such a successful talk show. I was an avid viewer. Do you have a favorite celebrity encounter?
It's really interesting Maria. I literally, I did my show ran for 17 years. I did about 3,100 shows. And back then, my show literally, I averaged 8 guests a show. So if you look at that alone, I had 24,000 people on my show,
Crazy.
which is ridiculous.
Eight
And
guests a show?
I was averaging 8 to 10 guests a show. Are you kidding me?
Oh my.
Whatever. And um, you know, my entire run of shows, I only had what I would call celebrities, 9 celebrities on the show. I did not do a celebrity based show.
I
I did a
know.
show. My show
But
was all
you've been in the celebrity community for so long, so that's why I still
sure,
ask, like,
sure. And from a well, and I had Aaron Neville on my show. I got to sing with him, which was really kind of cool.
no way.
I had let me think. Um, wow. I can't even think of can't even remember some of them that were on because they came on. I had Kelly Preston came on, which was really just a really, really warm and really nice interview. Um, I had Bo Derek on, and but all of the most of the celebrities that came on my show came on for a different issue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So when I look back, I can tell you something. I remember looking back and thinking about some of my most memorable guests. I had a young man on that literally that show was a show that was submitted for the Emmy that I ended up actually receiving as best talk show host. I had a young man on who was from Baltimore, my hometown, who we called the title of the show "My Brother's Keeper," and it was a really interesting show because this young man was 14 years old, but he was like a Mike Tyson 14. This kid at 14 years old was like 6 foot, 200 pounds. And his mother uh, got addicted to crack and ended up leaving him and his brother in their home alone and for months on end. And this kid literally figured out how he could go out in the streets of Baltimore. And it's not a smart thing that he was doing, but he was going out enrolling drug dealers so he could get the money to pay the rent and feed his brother and get him to school every day. And it was just such a crazy story of resilience. But yeah, did he do some things wrong? Yeah, but at the same time, all he knew in his heart was that he needed to take care of his brother.
Wow.
And that was a guest I'll never forget. And I had, when I look back on a show recently, somebody was asking me, and I thought, we did so many things on the Montel Williams show that were groundbreaking as far as a news piece for the country. I mean, I used to do a whole bunch of shows on abduction, and several of the shows that we did on abduction literally were the reason why it changed an entire industry worldwide. What was that industry? Automobiles. And what did we do? We were the ones that literally forced the automobile manufacturers in the world to put trunk releases inside of trunks. Because if
Wow.
you don't know if you remember, people like some of the worst serial killers, Bundy. He would either grab a person, throw him in the back seat of the car, hit him over the head. He used a fake cast on his arm. He would punch a person on, knock him out, throw him in the back seat of the car. He'd throw him in the trunk, close the trunk, and they couldn't get out. So I did a show about the fact this little girl who punched out, one of her taillights and stuck her hand out and was waving and waving and waving and waving. And then we were asking, well, why do you have to punch out a taillight? Why isn't there a release inside the trunk that you can just open the trunk door? What if you tripped and you fell in your trunk? It's something as simple as that could save lives. And that's exactly what the car manufacturers ended up doing. So I
Wow.
was very proud of the fact that we did some shows that I think changed, the country for good. I mean, things as simple as when we had analog phones before we got digital phones. Do you know that you could literally hit the little thing that you put the receiver on? If you tapped it 9 times, 1-1, it would dial 911. People didn't know
No.
that. But we did silly things like that, and I was one of the first people to actually embrace having guests on that. We talked about AIDS, and we talked about spousal abuse, and we talked about child abuse, and we talked about those things that, as a nation, we didn't want to talk about, but we
Yeah.
put it in your face and made you learn it. I was one of, way back when Columbine happened. The students of Columbine chose my show to go on over every other show because they realized that I was going to give them the respect that they needed, not just to run their story off and do it salaciously, but to actually give them an opportunity to talk and talk about what they had to go through. So I was
Yeah.
very proud of the show.
Are you friends? I know you just recently honored Dr. Phil after his passing, but were you friends with the other hosts of your time, the Oprahs, the Jenny Joneses,
And Jenny and I, we were your annual friends because we would meet at Nappy every year and talk. Ricky Lake, I consider her a friend, and very funny story for you though, girlfriend. If you look back in time at early talk, do you know that when my show went on the air and by the time it went off, over 114 shows came and went. And the majority of them had staff that had gone through the Montel Williams show for training to go off to be to work for them. I think I probably trained 80% of the talk producers and executive producers in the business.
hilarious.
It is.
So, what about Oprah? Did you ever have a relationship with her?
Oprah and I, we were cordial. I think, unfortunately, we probably spent more time being more competitive, and she would probably say she was never competitive to me. But, I think we were the only show that beat her in Europe on a regular basis, and I beat her around the country in lots of different markets. So, but we were cordial enough to say hello to each other, and I did her show before my show ended, and it was one of the better experiences of my life.
Wow. Why?
It was really funny. I went on a show to promote one of my books, but it gave me an opportunity to have a platform where I could actually speak about pain and speak about what I thought a lot of other people had not had an opportunity to talk about
Interesting. And you got that opportunity on Oprah.
on our show. Yeah. Yeah,
Funny
yeah.
because you'd think you would have that opportunity on your own show.
And I did. I did. I didn't even
That's
address it
so
on my own show.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that your decision?
Yeah, I think because, at the time when I was going through what I was going through, remember, Hollywood claims it likes every demographic, but, how often, when's the last time you turned on television and saw somebody going through an illness right now? Name it. Name the television shows, the dramatic
Yeah.
series that have a person
Yeah.
who's ill. Hollywood's not necessarily the most friendly place when it comes to illness, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, you're put at arm's length, and so I didn't want to be put at arm's length.
Yeah. Okay. What about Sally Jesse Raphael?
Sally, Sally would tell you, we were friends. I will tell you, Sally and I were friends. There's no question. I enjoyed being around her. She was a little bit more hysterical and funny than anything. And a couple of the producers that ran her show started off my show, so it's kind of cool.
No
But
way.
yeah,
Wait, what was the other guy who did the crazy stuff? Jerry?
Jerry Springer.
Jerry Springer. Yeah, yeah. What about him?
I knew Jerry Springer when he was the vice mayor of um, was it Columbus, Ohio, or he was vice mayor of a small. Man, I can't remember the town. I knew Jerry back then, and Jerry and I, we were again cordial when we saw each other.
Got it. Who do you think was your biggest competition? Was it Oprah?
Well, Oprah was everybody's biggest competition, I think, at the time. But our show, you look back, there weren't any shows at that time that lasted as long as mine and hers did. So 17 years in, we were constant in a constant battle for ratings. Everybody was. But I tried to do it in a way that was more respectful for, I think, the living rooms that I was invited into.
That's really cool. Montel, you're a great guy. I really enjoyed our chat.
Well,
And
thank you.
I'm looking forward to more. And I have my notes to go do my fruit and green juice smoothies, which I'll have to do less fruit than you because I am unfortunately type 1.
Okay.
But I'm also going to reach out to Juicetevia and check out what cannabinoids I can take.
Juice Tiba, Tiva,
Juiceteva.
Juice
Oh,
Tiva in
yeah.
Southern California. They have CBDA, which is the acid form of CBD, which is literally known now and proven to be more bioavailable,
What does bioavailable mean?
meaning that when you ingest it, it goes into your system quicker.
Oh, okay, got it. Amazing. Thank you so much. This
For
is
sure.
amazing. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed these 2 parts with Montel Williams. I love him. I think he's always handled himself so well with his show and how he even approached his show and how he's approached his diagnosis and helping so many with MS through his journey. And I am taking his tips. I think that's like the best thing about Heal Squad. I've always said, you always hear things when you need it. And I always do. And today I think I needed to be reminded that I need to add in more fruits into my diet because I am afraid of fruits with type 1 diabetes because it requires so much insulin. And as I'm trying to heal from it, I've kind of deprived myself of it as well. And so I don't eat very many. So today that changes, and hopefully some other things will change. Ha ha ha. And then also, I am going to go back into the world of CBD. I will try his approach of very, very micro dosing. I think for me, even like half a milligram is going to be more than enough of THC. But as I think about it, even just when he was talking about like stiff legs, I was like, damn, my body has been really stiff lately. And I know it's probably from the high blood sugars. I've really had a hard time with my blood sugars since surgery. It's just been a little bit more erratic than I would like. And I think that that is part of it, but that's not a good thing. And so to attack it, I'm going to definitely focus on more fruits as well as adding some of these cannabinoids in and see what happens. So I'll keep you posted. I'm going to be calling Juiceteva because if Montel says they're the best, I trust him. And they're going to be my new marijuana doctors. And I will definitely keep you guys posted on that. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present. Hey, Heal Squad. We have been on quite the journey together, and we're hearing from so many of you just how much this show is helping you heal and get better, and it makes us feel so good. We love, love, love it, and we just ask that you don't keep it to yourself. Spread the message and share the show or your favorite episode with your friends. And if you want to help us even more, you can leave us a 5-star rating and a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and follow us on Instagram at Heal Squad. You can also DM us anytime because we love connecting with you. And finally, you can also join us on Patreon for our monthly live heal events with world-class healers and ad-free episodes exclusive only to Patreon and our Super Heal Squad for as little as $10 a month. So go to patreon.com/Heal Squad to join. Getting better isn't easy, friends, but as I say all the time, it's a whole lot easier if we can do it together. We love you all so much, and we love doing this thing called life with you.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.